Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to Vladimir. We're going to take a look at his story, his biography, and then like if he's in any cinematics, we'll see if there's any of those. We're going to see what voice lines he does have. I do hear he doesn't have too many voice lines as of right now. But anyways, we're going to check out like all of his skins and just get the full lore of Vladimir up until now. I do know he's a little bit of an older character, but other than that, I know like tiny little things here, like he's the uncle of Viego, or like he's related to LeBlanc in some ways just because we've reacted to LeBlanc in the past. But other than that, guys, again, I don't play League of Legends myself. I do play TFT from time to time. That's honestly it. So all of this stuff is going to be fresh for me when we do react to Vladimir's story. So let's go ahead and dive in. All right, let's go ahead. We got Vladimir the Crimson Reaper. His quote is, "Time has made me wiser, but no more patient." So yeah, we don't really know like how old Vladimir is, but I'm going to guess he's super old. The paragraph for him says, "A fiend with a thirst for mortal blood, Vladimir has influenced the affairs of Noxus since the Empire's earliest days. In addition to unnaturally extending his life, his mastery of hemomancy allows him to control the minds and bodies of others as easily as his own." Okay, so blood magic, obviously. "In the flamboyant salons of the Noxian aristocracy, this enabled him to build a fanatical cult of personality around himself, while in the lowest back alleys, it allows him to bleed his enemies dry." Okay, so he has a very, like, mainstay in Noxus, and he's clearly been here for a really long time since its earliest days and has probably been behind the scenes for most of it. He's not part of like leadership though in Noxus as far as I'm aware. All right, role as mage, region Noxus, and then related champions we have Swain, LeBlanc, Elise, which I don't know anything about, and Kayn. Interesting that he has relations with Kayn. I'm not quite sure what those relations will be. All right, let's go ahead and dive into the biography. "A mastery of ancient forbidden sorcery, Vladimir is among the oldest enigmas of Noxus. He was present at the dawn of the Empire and has since woven his influence deep into its foundations, but he remembers little of those days. His mind is mortal, and so most of his unnaturally extended life endures not in his memory, but in his chronicles." Oh, okay, that's interesting. So first off, I guess I don't know how old Noxus is as an empire, but number two, he's still mortal, so like, just like an old person doesn't remember, they have bad memory. He technically still has bad memory because he's mortal. That's interesting. "History has lost track of Vladimir on many occasions, though its pages are littered with figures suspected to have been him. Legend once told of a prince in a kingdom threatened by the infamous Darkin as their great war spilled into Valorant. With his father's crown at stake and many more heirs ahead of him in the line of succession, the unfortunate youth was traded to the fallen god warriors as a hostage. Mortals were little more than cattle under the tyranny of the Darkin. Their supremacy apparent in the sorceries they had conceived, the arts of crafting flesh and transmuting blood, granting them mastery over life itself." Okay. "Believing himself above other mortal vassals and therefore worthy of such power, Vladimir was the first of his kind permitted to study this terrifying magic. His devotion earned him a place of favor in his patron's war hosts and the right to practice hemomancy and enforce the Darkin's will on lesser beings. Over time, the god warrior watched with amusement as Vladimir came to govern his subjects with as little mercy as the Darkin themselves." So he learned Darkin magic. Interesting. "The fall of these cruel tyrants is likewise the stuff of legend. An account of it, written in the dead High Shuriman language, is kept hidden within the immortal bastion. It speculates that Vladimir's master was not imprisoned like so many of his kin, but instead died at the hands of his own war host. The few surviving mortals fled, taking what knowledge they had of blood magic with them." Okay, he's got a totally different like origin story, I feel like, than anybody so far. This is kind of a crazy origin story. "Unknown to all but Vladimir himself, it was he who struck the killing blow. Scarred, blinded, driven mad by the radiance of a Darkin's undoing, he absorbed enough power to renew flesh that was never meant to last beyond a mortal lifespan. And he has done this countless times since through rituals too vile to speak of." Okay, so he continues to do this to stay alive. "At the height of Mordekaiser's dark reign, it was said that a mythic and bloodthirsty fiend haunted the coastal cliffs of eastern Valorant, demanding young lives and savage worship from the local tribes. Few were welcome in this lair until the day a pale sorceress approached this barbarian god with an offer. The two feasted together as equals, weaving magic so dark that the wine at their tables soured and the roses withered, vibrant red turning to black." Wait, who? Okay, hold on. Let's reread this. Also, okay, so Vladimir straight up just what? The Dracula of League of Legends, I guess? That's essentially what I'm getting here. Okay, wait a minute. So few were welcome in his lair until the day a pale sorceress approached this barbarian god with an offer. So wait a minute. Are we talking LeBlanc? Whenever I hear pale sorceress, right, that's LeBlanc, I'm assuming. Thus began the pact. Literally the next paragraph. Thus began the pact between Vladimir and LeBlanc, rife with disputes and games of politics and war. Over the centuries, others joined them: powerful nobles, exalted masters of magic, and beings darker still. This cabal grew into the hidden power that would guide the throne of Noxus for more than 1,000 years, orchestrating many of the Empire's most ambitious campaigns. Okay, yeah, so we did react to LeBlanc already, and I knew like there was some relation with LeBlanc and Vladimir. And yeah, so they've just been, both of them have been alive for centuries, and of course they're truly kind of behind the people that are running Noxus and things like that. Although I do know LeBlanc currently does not want Swain running, but Swain, or like leading, but Swain, you know, being as powerful as he is able to, you know, he's not an easy target as probably some of the other people that ran Noxus. Obviously, we have Darkwill. I don't know who ran Noxus before Darkwill, but yeah. Uniquely among the leaders of the Black Rose, Vladimir has rarely limited himself to scheming from the shadows. In the past, he deigned to join the Noxian noble courts during the most interesting of times. Why is it italicized here? Interesting. Only to fade into seclusion decades later. His extreme age and the atrocities his sorcery could wreak, a well-kept secret. Even so, under Vladimir's tutelage, the art of hemomancy has found a place in the military of Noxus and among scions of the old aristocracy. Among these diverse practitioners is the Crimson Circle, a youthful cult dedicated to as much to Vladimir's personality as to blood magic itself. Okay, so the Crimson Circle are those dedicated to hemomancy, and it's also like sort of part of the military of Noxus. And then the paragraph also says he would join during interesting times in the noble courts. I'm going to say that's just him, like, you know, doing some scheming and stuff to, like, you know, sway nobles of Noxus in a certain way. Same as, you know, Black Rose LeBlanc doing the same. She does the exact same thing. With the death of the previous Grand General and the rise of Jericho Swain, the political landscape of the Empire changed dramatically, and Vladimir has been forced to ruse himself once more. Wearing the guise of a benevolent socialite, he has returned to the public eye as a vocal opponent of the ruling Triferix Council, much to the concern of more cautious members of the Black Rose. Indeed, his reappearance may have come too soon, as time has not yet washed away all the stains of his previous lifetime, and it seems likely that Swain himself has begun to grasp Vladimir's true nature. As a new and darker conflict approaches Noxus, Vladimir drinks deeply from the renewed vitality of the Empire, reminding himself of his past glories. To him, this life is a mere revelry, a masquerade spanning centuries, and the prologue to greatness. For though the Darkin eventually fought amongst themselves and lost their immortal grip on the world, Vladimir knows he is the strongest alone. Okay. Yeah, so I want to say Vladimir's kind of, he is essentially the Dracula of League of Legends, but it's like, I mean, that's cool. That's super cool. He's like a super cool character. He's a vampire, essentially, right? I mean, he's not like turning other people into vampires. I'm saying like the way his lifestyle is, he's lived a very long time. He has to do like a blood ritual to keep staying alive. You know, he has a cult of followers. We can basically call the Crimson Circle like other vampires because they essentially practice the same blood magic and they follow him and yada yada. And, you know, Dracula himself in like stories, you know, obviously Dracula's not real. But you know what I mean? Like there's stories about Dracula, just like, you know, he obviously comes out and hangs out with noble people and he'll like sway things. He'll actually have a say in certain like ways of the political landscape, and like, you know, it's a powerful being throughout time, you know, is what Dracula is. So that's who I'm going to compare Vladimir to. I mean, obviously in the way he looks, like look at him here, pretty Dracula-like. Yeah, very, very cool. The one thing I do also know about Vladimir is he is sort of, not really though, but Viego's uncle from our Viego reaction. Like, I don't think they're technically related, but he was a noble from the same country, so he calls him uncle. I don't know. There's some weird stuff going on there. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to Vladimir's story. All right, we have an interesting bit of title here. It's called Alone. Livia had nearly found sleep when the light appeared. The first night in the orphanage carried strange emotions for her, unfamiliar yet close to a past that she had once held. Life had taken trust from Livia, like it had taken everything else, but habits of survival waned here, their edges dulled by the safety of a roof overhead. Her cot, though narrow and thin, was still far removed from the cold cobblestones of the capital. Sleep beckoned, warm and enveloping, tenderly lowering her eyelids with the promise of true rest. Then the door opened. "Wake, child," Livia recognized the voice of Sin, the head mistress. "Come." Afraid to lose what respite she had found from the streets, Livia obeyed and sat up. Her legs swung over to the side to land on the cold floor, and she walked into the light of the hall. Blinking, Livia took her place alongside the other children, all of them ranging from 8 to 10 summers. had arrived there today, freshly collected from the streets of Noxus. A pair of brothers, 3 scrawny urchin boys who clutched each other's hand in grubby unity, and Livia, both groups shuffled away from her, retreating to the familiar. Wait a minute. Don't tell me this is a story about an orphanage that's about to be sacrificed to make Vladimir live longer, because I feel like that's where it's going. I know the hour is late, said Sin as she walked down the line of little faces, but there are many demands upon the time of our patron. Still, he wishes to welcome the newly arrived. There was something within Sin's words that Livia could not place. It is an honor. It was then that the children noticed him with a start, as though he had appeared out of thin air. Tall, slender, clad in a wealth Livia had never known, the patron approached them. Sin demurred into the background, her expression impassible. Slowly the man walked from orphan to orphan, his pale eyes casting them in an odd scrutiny. He passed the brothers without a thought. Livia felt her pulse quicken as he paused, the eyes falling upon her, and felt it slow again as he continued on. The trio of urchins bunched together, each defending the others, and the patron barely spared them a glance. Her, the man said to Sin, his voice low, silken. Sin's arm was on her shoulder now, leading her to another room. It was empty, but for a single chair. No harm will come to you, Sin said, in an attempt to dispel Livia's fear. It is an honor, she repeated, closing the door behind her. Livia crossed to the chair and sat in it. She watched the door intently, the sole means of entry into the room, only to notice a moment later the shadow stretching out from behind her. The patron. Please, he said, raising his hands as she bolted to her feet. Livia did her best to contain her fear, to remember what Sin had told her. Think I am here to hurt you, he asked, his voice languid, accent cultured. Livia shook her head, but it was far from convincing. He feigned puzzlement, laughing softly. My dear, has life not done enough? He circled around in front of her. No, my child, I am only here to hear about your life and what has brought you here. No, I'm sus. He gestured kindly to the chair, and slowly Livia took her seat. I'm from Darkin, she began. Yes, he nodded, urging that she continue. War took Papa, said Livia, trying to keep her voice level, to betray no weakness. So we came to the city. Mama went out to find work, but after 4 days we stopped waiting for her to come back. It was just my sister Vira and I. I kept her safe. She fought her voice, but it faltered. Then Vira took sick. I couldn't protect her, and then I was alone, he said softly. Livia's chest swelled with a tide of pain, of loss. Alone, she repeated, and a tear struck her cheek. There, he breathed. She recoiled as he reached toward her. Close your eyes, he said, his voice hypnotic. Focus upon that feeling, the pain. It has mounted for you in this unforgiving world, nowhere to go but bottled up inside. Feel it rise up above your neck, slipping up over your nose, your ears. It threatens to swallow you, but just as the precipice it yields. Face it and feel it break against you. That is strength. Turn your mind upon it and allow it to drain from you. So I'm assuming this is Vladimir, but he's like trying to teach Livia how to like use her pain for strength? What's going on? She let the pain flow out of her in sobs, feeling the cold of glass against her cheeks, softly touching beneath each eye. A torrent of despair taking her breath, and then it was gone. Livia opened her eyes. Thank you, said the man, and Livia noticed a vial in his hands for sharing. Wait, he needs a tear? You, Livia, dared to ask, seeing something she could recognize in her patron despite everything else about him. You're alone too? He took his eyes from the vial, glanced at her. I've seen much of this world over many years. Yes, almost all of it alone. Livia sniffed, looking up at him. Will it get better? For you? He smiled gently, his eyes glimmering for a moment in a gentle show of sadness. No. She is unarmed, Sin asked as Vladimir stepped into the hall. Vladimir arched an eyebrow. Were you harmed, Sin, all those years ago when it was you in that room? He tilted his head, producing a thin ampule in his long fingers. Sin's eyes locked to the slender tube of glass, its frosted length dulling the contents to a soft ruby. Sin snatched the ampule, her eyes darting as she secreted it in the sleeve of her robe. Until next time, my dear, Vladimir chuckled. Then he turned and left. Okay, wait, hold on. She is unharmed. So he didn't harm her. The moon was full that night, bathing the Noxian streets in radiant silver hues. Vladimir stopped at the fountain in the orphanage's empty courtyard, dipping a finger into the still water. Whirls of crimson bloomed from his touch, rushing across the shallow pool until it was a depthless claret. Stepping briskly up to the lip of the fountain, Vladimir dropped it into it without a sound or splash. What is happening? I'm so confused. Vladimir rose from another pool within the dark halls of his manor. Wait. Can this man teleport through water? What is happening? Emerging dry, it was as though he had never touched the liquid. A chill wound through the yawning cavern of shadow and stone arches, brushing over shuttered windows and priceless artworks collected over 1,000 lifetimes. His step was light across thick rugs, barely disturbing the layers of dust that caked them as he ascended a staircase. For a moment, his thoughts lingered on the child. See, that right there is very like Dracula-like, I feel like. For a moment, his thoughts lingered on the child, Livia. Doubtless tonight had been a strange experience, but he had seen enough mortals to know this night would not define her life. She would live and then die like all the other little sparks around him. Her name, her face, their interaction would slip away from him, as they always did, to where he wondered if they had ever existed at all. People, the creatures surrounded Vladimir, yet stood upon the opposite side of an impossible gulf, tantalizing and impermanent. A thin, crooked smile came to him. He was melancholy tonight. He rolled the vial of tears in his fingers. The studio beckoned. Okay, yeah, so we need to find out what these tears are for. Interesting. Maudlin thoughts aside, of all the countless mortal lives he encountered, there were a select few Vladimir refused to forget, and so he labored to do what his mind could not. To remember them, those brief moments their lives touched, what felt like an eternity ago. In this case, it was less than a millennium, the memory springing suddenly into his mind despite the vast time since they last they met. For this one, he chose paint. It was nearly finished, a work most would not find out of place alongside the masterworks adorning his lonely walls. He had certainly had the years to hone a craft. Okay, so he's a painter, huh? All the details were done. The gentle tumble of auburn hair, the tan skin, features that alone were commonplace, but combined affected a demanding regal aura. The expression, unthinkable loss. It was all there, save the whites of his eyes. Vladimir opened the vial, tipping it into a pot. The innocent tears mingled with the paint, and with the touch of his brush came alive when laid upon the canvas. Nothing else in all his travels could match the splendor it wrought. What was his name? He found he could not remember. The absence stabbed at him, a name gone, but at least the face preserved. The whites of his eyes would keep his memory here. Like a lonesome soul, he sought me out from beyond. Vladimir mused with a smile. More melancholy, but fitting perhaps. After all, there was nothing in the world as beautiful as sadness. Okay, I'm usually not confused by the end of these stories. I mean, maybe I read it a little fast. I'm just a little confused. Okay, please, in the comments, let me know what happened. But I'm going to try to recap what I think happened. So, obviously we have an orphanage from the point of view of Livia. And then we have Vladimir in a room with Livia. And he makes her cry by having her think of all the people she's lost. And he was like saying, you're alone, like me. I'm also alone. And he's trying to tell her, use that pain to as a strength or whatever, right? And then he takes her tear, and he's like using the tear so he can like use water, because I don't know, he like teleported through the fountain water to appear in his manor, and then he's using the tear for the painting. Yeah, that's really all I'm getting from this. I'm not exactly sure what's happening. And then maybe I guess we're just getting like an idea of like his lifestyle. I don't, you know what I mean? I'm not quite sure what's happening. So he returns to his manor. And it talks about like him not remembering all the people that he's met, all the other orphans he met. Who is he talking about here at the very end, though? He draws somebody. He says, what was his name? Specifically saying his. He found he could not remember. The whites of his eyes would keep his memory here. You know what I mean? So I don't know if this is supposed to be referencing somebody. Yeah, guys, let me know in the comments. I'm not quite sure what the story alone is truly about for Vladimir. I don't know how old these are either, so maybe this is something that's, very old, and maybe, they've changed their writing style. Not quite sure. Just let me know in the comments, guys, what the biography is about. All right, we're obviously going to get into more of Vladimir's stuff, so we have a lot of other things to get into. We're going to check out his gameplay. I don't know how Vladimir actually plays in the game of League of Legends. And we're going to see if he's in any, as far as I can tell, I don't think he's in any cinematics that I can think of off the top of my head, but we're going to check it out. We're going to see if he's in Legends of Runeterra, and we're going to just see all things Vladimir. And I do know, or I've been told, that he might not have too many voice lines because he is a bit of an older character. That's totally fine. We'll see what we get. I hope you guys stay tuned for the rest of the reaction. All right, so what I did find for Vladimir, because he really does not have a whole lot of videos, to be honest. They've kind of like left Vladimir off to the side, it seems like. But anyways, we have a champion spotlight for him. It's 12 years old. Now, obviously, I'm sure his abilities have maybe changed a bit, but it doesn't look like he's been reworked or anything as far as I can tell. And we'll watch most of this. I know in these videos, they usually try to like tell you what kind of items and stuff you should use for them. And obviously, this is going to be old League of Legends, but let's go ahead and take a look anyways.
Welcome to the Vladimir the Crimson Reaper Champion Spotlight, presented by Riot Games.
Oh man, look at how different and old this is.
Vladimir is a tank caster hybrid who uses health to cast his various spells. His passive gives him health for buying ability power, and gives him ability power for buying health. His first ability is Transfusion. It's a direct single target nuke, which heals him for 1/4 of the damage.
Okay.
Second is Sanguine
It makes
Pool.
sense he's going to have a lot of
Vladimir
like healing
dissolves
abilities.
Into liquid, slowing and damaging enemies he floats under. He heals himself for 15% of the damage dealt, dodges any projectiles thrown at him, and removes all enemy minion aggro.
Wait, he just turns into like blood for a little bit? That's
Tides
weird.
of Blood is his third spell. It deals damage to nearby enemies and gives Vladimir bonus healing and regeneration.
Okay.
If he casts the spell quickly in sequence, it increases the damage, health cost, and healing gain.
So he's all about like healing and stealing HP, just like Dracula.
Vladimir's ultimate is Hemoplague. Afflicted enemies take bonus damage from all sources for 5 seconds.
Oh wow,
take
all sources?
Damage afterwards.
Oh wait, does that still wait? So you take significant damage afterwards? Interesting.
My rune page holds magic penetration.
Rune page? What is that? Okay, we're gonna no.
Sivir will die to Tides of Blood, Hemoplague, and Transfusion, even though I have nothing but a Doran's Shield and runes for bonus damage.
I love how we still have the same voice actor doing all the gameplay spotlights, because this is totally the same guy.
Sanguine Pool makes for a great escape spell. Gragas, Garen, and Sivir all try to kill me. However, I make a point to drop into the pool before Garen can silence me, and as you see here, while I'm dissolved, Gragas' ultimate does not touch me.
Okay, yeah, that seems like a great ability.
Spirit Visage is my first major item. A good standard spell combo is Transfusion and Tides of Blood, followed immediately by Sanguine Pool.
All right, let's see the combo
here. Once I become human again, my 2 main spells are already refreshed and ready for cast. The invulnerability from the turret also makes diving a breeze.
Okay.
While pushing top...
Well, we're not going to... I feel like we're not really going to be able to see too much from this. I just wanted to see his abilities. You guys will have to let me know if Vladimir is basically the same. Maybe we'll actually go ahead and take a look at the abilities page for him really fast. All right, we're on Vladimir's a page here on League of Legends. So obviously it says difficulty moderate. So abilities, Crimson Pact, every 30 points of health gives Vladimir 1 ability power, and every 1 point of ability power gives Vladimir 1.6 bonus health. Does not stack with self. Okay, interesting. Transfusion still there. Vladimir steals life from the target enemy. When Vladimir's resource is full, Transfusion will benefit from massively increased damage and healing. Sanguine Pool, let me see it now, and like updated graphics. Yeah, same thing. Okay, so he still has the same abilities. Tides of Blood, yeah. Vladimir pays his own health to charge up a reservoir of blood, which then when released, deals damage to the area around him, but can be blocked by enemy units. And yeah, Hemoplague. Vladimir infects an area with a plague. Affected enemies take increased damage from for the duration. After a few seconds, Hemoplague deals magic damage to infected enemies and heals Vladimir for each enemy champion hit. Yeah, very cool. I mean, his abilities have not changed in the last 12 years. So you guys will have to, I guess, let me know like how balanced Vladimir still is. Is he still pretty balanced, would you say? Or do you guys really think Vladimir probably needs a rework at this point? He hasn't changed in 12 years, which is pretty insane. But I guess not every character needs to be touched, right? Some characters stay, pretty good just from their basic output, and like obviously there's probably been tweaks done to his character's damage and things like that and his HP and stuff, but you know what I mean, like, do you guys think he really needs anything changed to him? Let me know in the comments if there should be a rework. And you know what, I decided since we are here, let's go ahead and take a look at his available skins. I'm sure this page is updated as far as I'm aware. That's what I would think anyways. So let's just use this website to take a look at the skins. All right, so Vladimir's available skins, obviously we have the original. Now I'm going to try to help you tell you guys my top 3 skins for Vladimir. It looks like he obviously 12 years old. He's probably got a ton of skins we can check out. But let's go ahead and put the original skin in the top 3 to start off the bat. I have a feeling some of the older ones aren't going to be as good as some of the newer ones. That's just generally how it's been on some of the other ones. But let's go ahead and take a look. Count Vladimir. So now this is kind of like what I expect. This is like a very Dracula-esque Vladimir skin. He's got, obviously he's got a wine glass with blood in it. Come on. This is a perfect skin in my opinion. I don't know how I feel about the hairstyle though. That would be like the one thing that I would change. Marquis Vladimir. Oh, this is very Dracula-esque and as well as very Vladimir-esque. I don't know. Yeah, and like see the little difference here. He's like putting his hand on her neck and you can see like some, I don't know, hemomancy going on there, and he's not actually biting her like a vampire. Very cool. I don't know if it's my favorite, though. We'll keep the count one in. Ooh, Nosferatu Vladimir. I mean, that's actually Dracula, right? Nosferatu. Very disgusting. I don't like it.
I don't like your food.
What did you say?
I said, I don't like your food, and I would like to send it back.
Vandal Vlad... What? He looks like Cloud from Final Fantasy VII during the motorcycle stuff. I don't like it. Not for me. Bloodlord Vladimir. Okay, yeah, this is very... I don't know. It's very Vladimir, but I don't really like it either. I don't know if I like the armor. It looks kind of weird. So far, my favorite is the original and freaking the Count Vladimir so far. Let's keep going. Soul Stealer Vladimir. Interesting. He's like a warlock instead. I like it. I don't know if it fits his character, but I like it. We'll put it in the top 3. Oh, we have Academy Vladimir. That's very interesting that they put him in the Academy. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. Again, I'm not liking the hair. The hair looks kind of weird, my dude, but you know what I mean? The Academy one's good. It's not going to take over the top 3, I think, for me. I know a lot of you probably like the Academy skins, personally. This one, it's not my favorite. All right, Dark Waters Vladimir. I'm assuming this is like a Bilgewater. Yeah, it's kind of like a Bilgewater one. It looks cool. I don't know. I kind of like what he has, like, so like he has the thing behind him still, but it's like kind of like made of water in between. That is kind of interesting. I'm not going to put it in the top 3. Let's get through all the skins. I think I might change though. Nightbringer Vladimir. We have him kind of looking away from us, but he does look cool. We don't get to see like the end game of these on this page, but that's totally fine. I'm not going to pick this one either in my top 3. It's good. Cosmic Devourer. Okay, I do truly like these skins. This skin, top 3. I like these. I don't know why. I just think they're really cool. I like the whole cosmic effect of the characters. And, you know, like even all the little, you know, the headpiece here and the thing behind him, all really cool. Let's put that one in there. Cafe Cuties. Hold the phone. What is going on here? Not what I expected for a Vladimir skin. I do see the appeal of it. I don't know if it's my favorite though. Okay, I think we're gonna take out Count Vladimir as much, or no, we're gonna take out the original Vladimir as much as I like it, and I'm gonna take out the Count. So I think we're doing Cosmic Devourer. How about we do Dark Waters? I know, I haven't seen the last one, and Cafe Cuties, but let's see this last one here. Broken Covenant Vladimir. I don't know how I feel about this one. This one's like totally weird, totally different. His arm looks really cool. What he's holding here looks really cool. His helmet is very interesting. It's almost like, it's kind of like anime, I feel like, for some reason. I don't know about this armor. That's very interesting. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with my top 3, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are on Vladimir skins. Are there any skins that you want to see in the future for Vladimir? And yeah, let me know your favorite skin in the comments. All right, everybody, we are going to look at the fandom page for Vladimir here now. So yeah, like I've been saying, like Vladimir truly has an interesting story, but it doesn't look like he's been touched much in terms of lore and in terms of like changes to his character or anything like that. He kind of seems like he's been kind of just pushed aside. They haven't touched him because they feel like he's fine. You guys will have to let me know how you guys feel about that, or if you guys are more interested in like getting more lore about Vladimir, because it doesn't seem like there's been much. But let's go ahead and look at his fandom page and see if we can find out anything new. Okay, so the background here says Vladimir is from Camavor, which we did know, a forgotten kingdom from a continent in the east of the currently known map. Personality. Vladimir is a cruel and hedonistic being that desires to fulfill his immortal life with the pleasures of the world. He prefers to squirt around between the public eye. Why do they use the word squirt around? And the secret societies that he built, making sure others are not aware of his immortal status. His flamboyant behavior also hides his cruelty and sadism that indulges when using his powers on others. All right, abilities. Master Sorcerer. Vladimir is a very powerful mage, worshipped as a god by the old barbarian Noxai tribes. He is able to cast spells, use magical artifacts, and conduct rituals, most notable the blood ritual that resurrected Scion. Oh, there was no mention of that at all. Okay, interesting. We haven't reacted to Scion yet. He is also very knowledgeable of the arcane, possessing vast magical possessions like an enchanted flower from the Blessed Isles. Okay. Hemomancy. Vladimir was taught by a Darkin master in the arts of blood magic. This makes him the most powerful blood mage in Runeterra, barring the Darkin. Blood magic is the magic of the flesh, controlling blood, bones, and flesh to several purposes. Body manipulation. Vladimir can manipulate his own flesh and blood and that of others to his desire. Life draining. Vladimir can drain the life of other living beings by the way of their blood. He can use this to restore his vitality and strengthen his magic. Okay, so I do have a question though about that. So I'm wondering if like a being, let's say, that doesn't have blood or doesn't traditionally have blood, like is he just like totally weak? Lore, like I'm talking lore wise, he would probably technically be weak against somebody that obviously, right? Like he has no way of, he can still do blood magic, but he doesn't have any way of manipulating their blood if they just straight up don't have any, you know. Immortality. Vladimir is essentially immortal as long as he can sustain it with blood magic. Yep. All right, relationships. This is the most interesting stuff here. This is always what I love to see. LeBlanc. Vladimir and LeBlanc have clashed over the centuries while also both being one of the leaders of the Black Rose. He may have developed some feelings for her in the past, but was possibly unrequited. Yeah. I don't think LeBlanc's interested. Black Rose. Vladimir is one of the founders of the organization. He aided the Black Rose for centuries, conducting Scion's resurrection and plotting in wars against Demacia. Nowadays, he is planning to leave the Black Rose. Interesting. Gallio. Vladimir fought Gallio at some point in a war versus Demacia. Oh, I wonder how we know that. It's probably in Gallio's lore. Maokai. The night blooms grown in his mansion were taken from a grove once tended by Maokai. Vladimir also dwelled in Blessed Isles after Great Darkin War until the Ruination happened. Okay, so he was on the Blessed Isles until the Ruination stuff, and then now he's on Noxus. But he had like night blooms that are once part of Maokai. Interesting. Viego. Although Viego calls Vladimir his uncle in game, they are only distantly related due to descending from the royalty of Camavor. At some point after being taken by his Darkin master, Vladimir started sending customary yearly letters to his original kingdom. After Isolde was poisoned, a grief-stricken Viego refused to respond, not knowing Vladimir had the power that could have saved her. Oh, because of the fact that he has blood magic, he technically could have revived Isolde. Interesting. Callista and the Daring Darling. Vladimir, I'm assuming that's just a story. Vladimir was soul-marked by Callista, but he was able to banish her with the help of a magical artifact. Callista is related to Vladimir as well since she is Viego's niece. Interesting. So there was a little clash between Callista and Vladimir, but he was able to banish her with the help of a magical artifact. Very cool stuff there. Do we have any trivia? It looks like alternate universes maybe. Vladimir doesn't actually drink the blood of his victims, but rather absorbs the life force within it. It is quite possible that the man that Vladimir draws in the story alone is Viego before the Ruination. Oh, see, this was the question I had. But after the death of his wife. His description is consistent with the image given in the Champion Insights Viego. Oh, so maybe he drew Viego. But his memory, it's interesting that his memory is that of a mortal. So, like, this dude can't remember a lot, I feel like. Once you become an old man, you can't remember anything. You know what I mean? It's very interesting. I think that's a unique detail about his character, is that his memory isn't the best. I'm sure he has, like, you know what I mean? Because he is immortal and he's, like, you know, sustaining his life. I'm sure it's, like, average human memory. It's probably not, like, an old guy with dementia or something. But, yeah, very interesting and unique detail about Vladimir. All right, we don't have anything else to take a look at for Vladimir. I mean, it looks like there's some other stories that he's a part of. This one is called Art is Life. I don't know how long the read is for this. There's a short story that also contains Vladimir called Roots of Ruin. And then the short story here, The Daring Darling. This is the one about Callista and Vladimir. Interesting. I'm not going to dive into any more short stories. I do generally just do the first one that, you know, League of Legends website, you know, shows available. So the other ones are usually a little bit longer. We're not going to have as much content for Vladimir. I hate to say it, but we do have still some Legends of Runeterra voice lines that we can take a look at. So let's go ahead and do that. All right. So luckily enough, we do have a Skin Spotlights video that has the Noxian card special interaction. So this is going to be including Vladimir. And yeah, let's just see what Skin Spotlights has for us here.
Ah, the hand of Noxus himself.
Uh-huh.
Stay out of my way, creature.
Creature. Now, wait a minute. I do have to ask. So he doesn't like the Triferix whatsoever, right? Does that include, like, or, like, does he only not like Swain being the Triferix? Or do we know if they don't like Darius and the rest of the Triferix? You know what I mean? I have no idea.
Do you enjoy making them bleed?
Why you always gotta be so creepy, man?
Here for business or pleasure?
You'll see soon enough.
Okay, he is a little weirdo, huh?
Waste my time.
Manners maketh, my boy.
I do like that voice line, though.
I have the name. I need the reputation.
Such rich blood.
Let me show you what I can do.
Blood isn't a toy, dear. People are.
Whoa, I actually love that voice line. That's great.
Come on!
Savage Reckoner.
Oh, I like this one. Stay out of my way, bird.
I will not let your malevolence corrupt my land.
Oh, I like that Anivia knows like him. and what he can do.
Do you see me, Anivia? Do you see my power?
You're a plague on this land, Vladimir, nothing more.
We really need to react to Anivia. I like the voice lines between these two. That was interesting.
My heart and sword for Demacia!
Should have left the sword behind, my boy.
Funny.
Let the light guide you.
Come, Lux.
Oh.
Don't hold back.
Yo, he's very...
I have no need for their souls.
As I have no need for their blood.
Oh, that's a very cool voice line interaction. I love that.
Do not fear the shrouded path.
Shadow-etched blood.
Uh-huh.
How delightful.
Oh, it intrigues him.
I am the blade in the darkness.
The shadows aren't yours alone, said.
Dude, his voice lines in Runeterra are great. Man, is that all we get? Okay, I did find more.
I served for decades, and you call on me now.
Someone who understands a wound's lesson.
I helped build this empire.
Youth and wisdom. A pity they can only choose one.
Victory requires a sharp
Trifarian
blade.
Glory Seeker.
You'll find no glory here, fool.
In the War Mother's name.
If it's scars you seek.
I learned my scars.
So eager to suffer.
Yeah, he's very, like, he does treat these people as, like, toys, essentially, like he mentioned in his earlier voice line. He is not afraid of any of these people. Not even Anivia. He was just like, get away from me, bird. You know what I mean? That's crazy.
Born from battle.
You like scars? You'll love me.
We'll take what we want. The rest will burn.
Oh, the butchery we'd commit together.
Got my money yet?
All right, that's all we got, it looks like. So, okay, let's roll it back to his earlier voice lines. I know this is all we get, which is kind of, like, I want more. I want the voice lines that are in League of Legends. Unfortunately, I don't see a video for that. But yeah, this was great. I actually really enjoyed all his voice lines. He's got that, what's the word I'm thinking of? Where they think everybody's below them. You know what I mean? That's the way Vladimir is treating everybody, including Anivia, which is kind of crazy to me to think of Anivia and him. Like, it did seem like Anivia knows, like, how powerful he is, because she's like, you would be a plague to my land in the Freljord, So do not come to Freljord, please. That goes back to my question earlier, though. Like, technically, I feel like, I don't know if Anivia is made of blood. I don't even know, because I don't think so. I have no idea. But, like, I feel like since Anivia is not even made of blood, she would have a little bit of an advantage. Obviously, he still has blood magic in him. Anyways, yeah, he was very much so just, like, dismissive of all these people, dismissive of Darius and Draven, Garen, any of these people. He was just like, yeah, you guys. And then, like, the one with the manners maketh, I thought that was great. So he has this, like, noble rich person, like, idea in the way he talks, right? Everybody's below him, and it's not even just because of his power level. I think it's just because he is truly, like, a noble person, and he thinks, like, all these other people don't act noble, probably. Yeah, I do really wish we had more voice lines, of course, for Vladimir. You guys mentioned before I was going to react to Vladimir that we weren't going to have too many voice lines, and maybe they'll add more as time goes on, or, maybe there'll be, like, a big thing with Vladimir at some point in the future, and we will, of course, take a look at those voice lines for him if those ever come out. There are some characters, just like recently, like Varys had some voice lines added to him. I am going to take a look at those at some point. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, maybe they'll do that with Vladimir. You guys let me know if that's something that's been talked about recently, or if you guys know of anything in the works coming for Vladimir, because you guys know more than I do for sure about anything coming to characters in the future. Other than that, guys, he is very unique, in my opinion, to the landscape. We don't have anybody else that is quite like Vladimir, right? And, I ran a poll on the YouTube page to see, who you guys thought had the most interesting lore out of the 5 people that I posted. Irelia was second. Vladimir was definitely in the lead most of the time. I think Irelia maybe took over a little bit. But Vladimir was number 1 in terms of lore. So I want to hear from you guys why you think Vladimir has the most interesting lore. Is it mostly because he's just been around for, like, centuries, just like LeBlanc has, and he's kind of been behind the scenes? So obviously he started, like, his story started in Camavor, which we don't really know too much about, but he was a noble person there. And then, obviously he got the blood magic from the Darkin blood magic stuff. And then he's just been doing that ever since to stay alive. We didn't really get too much into, like, his way of staying alive. I didn't hear it or see it described in any of the, you know, in the biography for him. We don't really need, I guess, the details. We just kind of know he just obviously steals the life force from other people with hemomancy, right? That's my guess. Anyway, I do really like the aesthetic of Vladimir. I do like the whole blood magic in the actual game of League of Legends. Actually, what is his card? I didn't even look at his card until just now. So attack. For each other attacking ally, deal 1 to it and 1 to the enemy nexus. Oh, so you're doing 1 damage to your attacking allies to do damage to the enemy nexus. That's very cool. And he levels up if you've had 6+ allies survive damage. That's awesome, actually. I like that you're actually doing a damage to your own units to do damage to the enemy nexus. That's very interesting. Yeah, you know, with these characters, again, I do wish we had more voice lines, but that's going to be it for Vladimir's reaction. You guys let me know your thoughts on Vladimir, what you guys want to see in the future for him. I think he's a really cool character, super unique, super unique. I don't think we'll ever get another character even similar to Vladimir, just with the blood magic and him having the Darkin blood magic. Maybe we'll get some sort of like interaction between him and like Darkins or something in the future. I don't know. Maybe with new Nefiri stuff. You know, I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. You guys let me know your thoughts on Vladimir in the comments. I'm very interested to hear from you guys. Thanks again for watching the video. Please leave a like on it. It helps the YouTube algorithm. And if you guys loved the reaction, please hit subscribe so you can go ahead and check out my other ones. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.